You're listening to the Stoic Solutions Podcast, practical wisdom for everyday life. I'm Justin Vacula, and this is episode 54, Prom Dress Cultural Appropriation. I respond to the charge of cultural appropriation leveled at teenager Keziah Daum, who wore a traditional Chinese dress to her high school prom event. I focus on Stoic themes of cosmopolitanism, humility, and valuing wisdom, no matter where it originated, to argue, in this case, that the controversy is much ado about nothing. Visit my website at stoicsolutionspodcast.com, where you can connect with me on social media, find past episodes on many podcast platforms, and join my Discord chat server for interactive discussion. Support my work by becoming a donor through Patreon or PayPal to access special rewards, including the ability to have upcoming guests answer your questions, custom podcast episodes, and personalized one-on-one discussions. Share, comment, like, subscribe, and leave reviews to help support my efforts. Email me with your thoughts. justinvacula@gmail.com. Some quick podcast updates. I have many guests scheduled to appear on upcoming episodes, including author Ward Farnsworth, who graciously sent me a pre-release copy of his book, The Practicing Stoic, a Philosophical User's Manual. Audio quality of my podcast will continue to improve. I purchased a Blue Yeti microphone and pop filter with pledges from Patreon and PayPal supporters, preferred indifference, of course. Let's move on to today's episode. A critic responding to pictures of a traditional Chinese prom dress posted on Twitter wrote, "My culture is not your prom dress." He also typed, "For it to simply be subject to American consumerism and cater to a white audience is parallel to colonial ideology," and "gain permission from multiple people from that culture to wear it in certain settings." Keziah, the teenager who wore the Chinese prom dress, was charged with cultural appropriation. According to Wikipedia, cultural appropriation is a concept in sociology dealing with the adoption of the elements of a minority culture by members of a dominant culture distinguished from equal cultural exchange due to the presence of a colonial element and imbalance of power. This controversy, not limited to the recent prom dress discussion on social media, drew the attention of international news and influential thinkers. What might Stoic philosophers have to say about cultural appropriation? Should we refrain from utilizing practices or fashion from other cultures? A common theme in Seneca's letters is truth being common property. He imports ideas from other philosophical schools, works of fiction, and influential thinkers, including those of rival traditions. He encourages people to appreciate wisdom, no matter where it comes from. This attitude of humility is also sprinkled through Stoic thought. In this case, one's culture doesn't always have the best practices or the best ideas. There's a constant refinement and interaction with the world in which we can improve ourselves and our communities through wisdom others hold. Cosmopolitanism, the idea that people are of a shared humanity, one large community, is also present throughout Stoic texts. Blogger The Immoderate Stoic writes, "The ancient Stoics were the first known Western philosophy to advocate cosmopolitanism, the idea that we are citizens of the world. They insisted that rational beings are bonded through our similar needs and goals, and, therefore, we should live for the well-being of all." In viewing humanity as one large community and seeking to benefit from the ideas of others, appreciating their contributions to humanity, we can welcome incorporating aspects of cultures other than our own, or at least those we commonly think of as limited by geography, skin color, or shared traditions. We can object if someone is seeking to denigrate others, but surely this is not the case with a high school student wearing a traditional Chinese dress to a school function. It doesn't appear to be the case with many other controversies, including people wearing geisha dresses, styling their hair in certain ways, serving food for holidays, wearing hoop earrings, or including artistic themes in school projects. Sadly, outrage, anger, and being offended, concepts distant for the Stoic, seem to take hold over people in a vicious call-out culture in which people take the worst interpretation of someone's intent. Let's look to the letters of Seneca for thoughts related to cultural appropriation. In his letter titled On Reasons for Withdrawing from the World, Seneca responds to a query from someone who asks about the origin of an idea. He writes, "What difference does it make who spoke the words? They are uttered for the world." Relating to this idea of cultural appropriation, why should elements of one culture be restricted only to certain people? That permission needs to be granted in order for someone to wear a dress, or that someone should apologize if someone is offended because of a fashion choice? one can appreciate fashions from all corners of the world and proudly or even nonchalantly display them. In his letter titled On Travel as a Cure for Discontent, Seneca echoes the Stoic theme of being a citizen of the world, disputing barriers between cultures, instead thinking of humanity as a whole. He writes, "We should not make the mind a bondsman to any one place. Live in this belief. I am not born for any one corner of the world. This whole world is my country." In his letter titled On the Futility of Learning Maxims, Seneca encourages us to look for truth wherever it happens to be, not resting on one particular discovery or interpretation, to continue investigating and adapting ideas from others, improving on wisdom of ages past. In the realm of fashion, we can draw upon discoveries others have made and not be limited to our time or geography. Seneca writes, "Shall I not follow in the footsteps of my predecessors? I shall indeed use the old road, but if I find one that makes a shorter cut and is smoother to travel, I shall open the new road. Men who have made these discoveries before us are not our masters, but our guides. Truth lies open for all. It has not yet been monopolized." On Seneca's view, the wisdom of the past should not be restricted to those who made discoveries. We can, I must say, appropriate their wisdom and be better for it. Dare to be different even, not conforming to the crowds and giving in when others heap scorn upon us. Is not our modern culture a product of past discoveries and importing? Language, customs, technology, calendars, music, art, and so much more coming from many ages and places enriches our culture. Of course, not all elements from every culture are positive. Practices like slavery, honor killings, and certain political ideologies rightly ought to be rejected, but many good things can be applauded. Instead of being outraged because a teenager is wearing a traditional Chinese dress, consider appreciating that a cultural symbol can be considered, in this modern era, to be included in a high school event, that some can be exposed to elements from other cultures they may ignore. An attitude of gratitude would be helpful here. Consider, too, replacing outrage with a more productive use of time. Shall we really consider lamenting a teen's choice in fashion to be a good use of the limited time we have in our lives? Can we challenge our impressions, the ideas that we have about the external world, by considering alternate interpretations of fashion choices, and not thinking that wearing a dress signals oppression, consumerism, and disrespect? Cultural appropriation, I see, at least in this case, is much ado about nothing. I see it as yet another failed attempt at social justice, fairness, and inclusivity from a crowd which appears to be anything but that. Their way, or you are the enemy. You're with them or against them, the saviors or the oppressors, a far stretch from the virtue of justice central to Stoic thought. Those who wish to see positive cultural change fail to model the behavior they wish to see when denigrating others and having an all-or-nothing attitude of assigning ill intent to others when it's hardly deserved. Hats off to Keziah Daum for standing her ground, tweeting, "To everyone who says I'm ignorant, I fully understand everyone's concerns and views on my dress. I mean no harm. I am in no way being discriminative or racist. I'm tired of all the backlash and hate when my only intent was to show my love. I wore the dress because I really respect the culture and I believed it was very beautiful." Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more content. Visit my website at stoicsolutionspodcast.com, where you can connect with me on social media, find past episodes on many podcast platforms, and join my Discord chat server for interactive discussion. Support my work by becoming a donor through Patreon or PayPal to access special rewards, including the ability to have upcoming guests answer your questions, custom podcast episodes, and personalized one-on-one discussions. Share, comment, like, subscribe, and leave reviews to help support my efforts. Email me with your thoughts, justinvacula@gmail.com. Podcast music, used with permission, is brought to you by Phil Giordano's symphonic metal group Fairyland from their album Score to a New Beginning. Find more information in the show notes.